the explainer. I am so incredibly thrilled to have you here today because we're going to unpack a massive, and I mean truly monumental decision in modern sports history. Every 4 years, one single country gets chosen to host the absolute biggest sporting event on the planet. And for the 2026 tournament, that choice was America. But here's the wild reality of it all. The real reason FIFA chose the United States had absolutely nothing to do with football. It was about something much, much bigger. It was an $80 billion decision. By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly why America was always, without a doubt, destined to win this bid.
So to really understand how we got here, we have to rewind a bit to June 13th, 2018. The setting is Moscow, Russia, literally the day before the 2018 FIFA World Cup was set to kick off. You've got 203 countries gathered in one room, and they are voting on who gets to host in 2026. The competition? It's between two groups. Team 1 is a joint bid by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and Team 2 is Morocco. Going into this room, practically everyone expected a tight, nail-biting race. But that expectation was completely shattered. The United States pulled 134 votes to Morocco's 65. I mean, America didn't just win, they absolutely demolished Morocco.
Which brings us to the ultimate mystery box of this whole event. Why on earth did 134 countries look at these two options and choose America by such a staggering margin? Why wasn't it even close? Well, the answer breaks down into three deeply fascinating pillars. We're going to look at the money, the infrastructure, and the politics. And honestly, each one of these pillars tells a story that's even more interesting than the last.
Let's start with the very first pillar. And frankly, it's the big one, money. To understand FIFA's mindset during this vote, you have to listen to FIFA president Gianni Infantino. He actually admitted that when he took over the organization back in 2016, FIFA was, in his words, clinically dead. They were absolutely drowning in legal bills from massive corruption scandals. It's like they were sinking, and they desperately needed a financial lifeline to survive. They needed cash, and they needed a lot of it fast.
Enter the United States with the ultimate solution to FIFA's existential crisis. When the US presented their bid, they promised pure, cold, hard cash on a scale that literally nobody else could touch. Look at this comparison. While the Qatar 2022 World Cup generated an incredible $7 billion in revenue, the U.S. promised to double that. Double it. They promised a tournament that would generate $14 billion in revenue for FIFA alone. They essentially offered a financial rescue package that FIFA simply could not turn down.
Now, you might be wondering, why would FIFA actually believe a wild $14 billion promise? Well, because the numbers were already historically proven. The U.S. had hosted the World Cup once before, back in 1994, and that tournament, it set massive attendance records that stood completely untouched for 20 whole years. So FIFA knew the earning potential of the American market wasn't just some optimistic projection. It was a proven, undeniable historical fact.
And that leads us right into our second pillar, infrastructure. FIFA's own evaluation report looked at Morocco, which is a country with incredible heart and passion for the game, but they labeled their bid as high risk. Why? Because they'd essentially have to build almost everything from scratch. Stadiums, roads, hotels, they just weren't ready. Contrast that with America's zero-risk proposal. The stadiums were already there, the hotels existed, the roads were built. For FIFA, it meant absolutely zero construction gamble. Just show up and play the game.
And what's really mind-blowing is the sheer scale of what America already had sitting there, completely ready to go. They pitched 16 massive existing NFL stadiums. We're talking about colossal venues like MetLife Stadium in New Jersey holding 82,000 people, AT&T Stadium in Dallas holding a staggering 105,000, and SoFi Stadium out in LA, which is arguably one of the most ultra-modern stadiums on the entire planet. The infrastructure wasn't just there, it was supersized.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that this infrastructure dominance fundamentally shifted the balance of the joint bid. Even though the U.S. partnered with Canada and Mexico, the distribution of matches tells a very clear story. Out of 104 matches total, the United States is hosting 78. Canada gets 13, and Mexico gets 13. Because of their ready-made megastadiums, America isn't just co-hosting this tournament. Practically speaking, America really is this World Cup.
All right, that brings us to the third pillar, politics.
This is the one factor that rarely gets discussed, but it played a massive, complex role behind the scenes during the 2018 vote. At the time, Donald Trump was the president of the United States, and the political atmosphere was definitely highly charged. Trump actually openly and publicly called on African nations to vote for the American bid. But interestingly enough, this public pressure actually hurt the U.S. slightly. Several countries that might have voted for the USA ended up supporting Morocco strictly to push back against what they felt was political interference. Plus, U.S. territories like Guam, Puerto Rico, and American Samoa actually had to abstain from voting entirely because of conflicts of interest. Yet, despite those political tensions and a few lost votes, America still completely ran away with the victory. So why? Because pragmatism won out. Practically every South American country, every Central American country, most of Asia, and even Russia, who was literally hosting the 2018 World Cup at that exact moment, they all voted for the U.S. And they did it purely for the practical benefits. America's unmatched infrastructure meant their players would be comfortable and their fans could easily travel and find a place to sleep. It was just a highly pragmatic, smart choice for the voting nations.
So we've solved the mystery of exactly how and why they won the bid. But now let's look forward at what this actually means. And it all comes right back to this staggering number we talked about at the very beginning, $80 billion. The 2026 World Cup is projected to generate $80 billion in total global economic output. Guys, it is a literal financial earthquake.
Let's break down what that means on a local level for the United States. Out of that $80 billion global output, $30 billion is projected to benefit the U.S. specifically, along with the creation of 290,000 brand new jobs. Make no mistake about it, this isn't just a football tournament. This is the biggest economic event America has hosted in decades.
And driving that entire economic boom, an estimated 6.5 million fans that FIFA projects will travel across North America to attend matches. Think about it. They're eating at restaurants, staying in hotels, and just spending money everywhere. Hospitality giants like Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt are gearing up for their biggest summer ever, and cities like Dallas, Miami, and Los Angeles are completely transforming themselves right now just to handle these record numbers.
But hold on, before we get completely lost in the hype, let's do a crucial reality check. We have to ask, is this massive economic promise actually going to deliver, or is it a bit too good to be true? If we look at the reality off the pitch right now, experts are actually flashing some stark warning signs. Economists are warning that the actual GDP boost might be way lower than FIFA's grand projections. Hotels in a lot of the host cities are reporting that bookings are currently falling below expectations. Add in extremely high ticket prices that could easily price out regular fans, and massive visa headaches for overseas travelers, and well, the reality of hosting this event is proving to be incredibly complicated.
However, win or lose on the economic front, this tournament represents something far, far more profound culturally. This is the result of a decades-long evolution. The 1994 World Cup planted a tiny seed in a country that notoriously just didn't care about soccer. But then, the MLS grew rapidly. Then, true global stars like Christian Pulisic started to emerge. And finally, America has transformed into a true global competitor on the pitch.
Ultimately, what you should take away from this entire explainer is that America didn't just win this bid with an $80 billion strategy. They won it to make a definitive, bold statement to the rest of the globe. We are the home of football now. They are proving they aren't just some lucrative host country. They are a formidable footballing nation playing right on their own soil.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly exciting thought to ponder as we wrap up. They've got the money, they've got the mega stadiums, and they clearly had the strategy. But with a home crowd of 80,000 fans passionately chanting USA, can America actually leverage this massive $80 billion advantage on the pitch and win their opening match? That is the real drama we are all waiting to see unfold. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you found this breakdown as fascinating as I did.